Let me ask you something. Yo, have you noticed that life just feels heavier? You work hard, maybe harder than ever, but somehow your money disappears fast. Rent is high, groceries cost more, gas hurts your wallet. Electric bills keep climbing and eating out. Feel like a luxury now. Every single working American is feeling right now, whether they're in a big city or a small town, whether they make $15 an hour or 50. People all across America are saying the same thing. I'm not buying fancy things, I'm just trying to live. Just paying for the basics, not feel stressful. The truth is simple. Life didn't suddenly become fancy. It just became expensive. And today I'm gonna show you exactly why. With real numbers that explain why your dollar doesn't stretch like it used to. No spin, no sugarcoating, just the honest truth. Let me start with the plain truth that the news keep dancing around but never quite said straight. The cost of your everyday life, your rent, your food, your electricity, your gas didn't just tick up a little bit. For most working Americans it doubled. In some cases it went even higher than that. Your dollar today buys roughly half of what it bought just a few years back. That's not me exaggerating for effect. That's what millions of American families are living every single day when they open their bills, stand at the register, fill up their tank. And here's the part that gets under my skin the most when you hear the news say inflation is coming down. They are not saying prices went down. Not one single penny came back. All they saying is that prices stopped running quite as fast. They're still up, still high. And for most families, they ain't never coming back to where they were. Prices went up, but they did not go back down. Even when things stop rising fast, they still stay high. So people feel stuck, working, but not moving forward. Trying but not getting ahead, doing everything right, but life still feels hard. A big national poll asked everyday Americans how they feel about the cost of living. 65 out of every 100 people said things have gotten worse, or much worse. In the past year alone, that's nearly 2/3 of this entire country, partner, 2/3. Every American saying cost of living got worse. 65% Politico national poll, level reality for working families. Cost doubled or more, rent, food, energy, fast food. Let's talk about the roof over your head. Rent has gone up a lot in the last few years for many people. Rent is the biggest bill they have, and when rent goes up, everything becomes harder. You got less money for food, less money for gas, less money for savings. Some people spend almost half of their income just trying to keep a roof over their head. That's not living, that's surviving. The average rent in this country, just a regular apartment, utilities included, is now nearly $1,500 a month. And it keeps going up. Studio apartments jumped almost 6% just this past year alone. Now here's the number that'll knock your boots clean off. 1 out of every 4 renters in America is now handing over more than half their entire paycheck just for rent. Half it for a single piece of bread, before 1 gallon of gas, before the electric bill. Half of everything they earn gone before the month even gets started. And buying a house, forget it unless you're already comfortable. You wanna own a regular home today, you need to bring home over $120,000 a year just to keep the payments manageable. Mortgage rates more than doubled in just a few years. You know what the average age of a first-time homebuyer just hit? 40 years old. Used to be 33 people are waiting longer and longer, and some never get there at all. The government actually calculated the hourly wage you need to afford a plain 2-bedroom apartment without blowing your whole budget. The answer, $33.63 an hour. The federal minimum wage is $7.25.
The price of your groceries, the same stuff you've been buying every week for years, has gone up 30% since 2020. A trip that used to cost you $100 now costs $130, and that's on a good day. For many families, what they used to spend on food in a month, they now spend in 2 weeks. A regular family of 4 is now spending more than $1,000 a month on groceries alone. Not restaurants, not fast food, just the regular store. $1,000 every single month just to feed your family at home. And then there's eggs. Eggs have almost become the symbol of this whole disaster. In early 2025, a dozen eggs cost $8.15. $8.15 for 12 eggs. They shot up 53% in a single year because a bird disease ripped through the country and wiped out over 166 million egg-laying hens. That's not a grocery price. That's a gut punch at the breakfast table.
And here's a sneaky trick a lot of big food companies have been pulling on you without you even noticing. They call it shrinkflation. They don't raise the number on the price tag, no. That would make you angry right there in the aisle. Instead, they quietly put less food in the same size box. Same price, fewer chips, a shorter roll of paper towels, a smaller tub of ice cream. You're paying the same, sometimes more, and getting less. That's a slow motion pickpocket, partner. And it's been happening in every aisle for years. The bottom line, nearly 40 million Americans, that's 1 out of every 7 households in the richest country on earth, struggled to put enough food on the table last year, 1 in 7. You need heating or cooling. You need to charge your phone. You need to cook your food. These bills come every month, and they keep getting bigger. You can skip a vacation, but you cannot skip electricity. The average American household is now paying $265 a month just for utilities, electric, water, heat, all of it. That jumped 12% in just the past year. Your electric bill alone went up nearly 7%. Your gas heat went up almost 11%. And more than 124 million Americans, nearly 4 out of every 10 people in this country are getting hit with yet another rate hike this year alone. That's not bad luck. That's the system. Now here's something nobody on the evening news is saying plain enough. All those AI computer centers, you keep hearing about the ones running ChatGPT, Power, Amazon, running every recommendation on every app on your phone. They need a jaw-dropping amount of electricity by 2030. They're projected to need the equivalent of 4 to 10 entire states worth of extra power, all plugged into the same grid that runs your lights and your air conditioner. Gas prices go up, and suddenly everything feels more expensive. Driving to work costs more. Driving to the store costs more. Even visiting family costs more. Gas affects everyone, because everyone needs to move. Now, gas prices did actually come down a little this past year, and I'll take any good news I can get, but don't get too comfortable, partner, because there's a situation on the other side of the world that could change that fast. And it has a name most Americans have never heard. There is a tiny strip of ocean between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula called the Strait of Hormuz. 1/5 of all the oil in the entire world passes through that one little waterway every single day. In early 2026, military conflict in that region effectively shut it down. Ships couldn't pass. Insurance companies refused to cover tankers. Oil prices shot past $100 a barrel. Gas peaked at $3.58 a gallon. The only reason it didn't get catastrophically worse, America is now producing more of its own oil than any country on earth. 13.6 million barrels a day. That domestic production acted like a shield between regular Americans and total price chaos. But that shield only holds as long as the overseas situation doesn't drag on too long. One waterway, one conflict, and every American feels it at the pump. Going to a simple restaurant used to feel normal. Now many people look at the menu and think, maybe not today. A simple meal can feel too expensive. Something that used to feel easy now feels like a big decision. Fast food was supposed to be the safety net. The money is tight, but at least I can afford a burger option. That safety net has a great big hole in it now. Fast food chains have raised their prices so aggressively that the whole idea of cheap fast food is basically gone. A simple meal that cost $5 or $6 a few years back is now $10, $12, sometimes $15 at a drive-through window for food in a paper bag. Take one example, Taco Bell's beefy 5-layer burrito. That one item went from $1.59 to $3.69. Approach you top % jump on the item that was supposed to be the cheap one, and that's not even a meal. That's one burrito. Across the board, fast food chains raise their prices way faster than regular everyday inflation. Nearly double or more what they cost 10 years ago. They'll tell you ingredients cost more, workers cost more, packaging costs more. And some of that is true, but a whole lot of it is because they could. And nobody stopped them. A survey in 2024 found that 78% of Americans, nearly 8 out of every 10 people, now consider fast food to be a luxury purchase, a luxury. And people are voting with their feet. 40% of Americans say they're eating out less. 1 in 4 is skipping the drive-thru entirely and heading to the grocery store instead. Because even the grocery store is now cheaper. Let that sink in. The grocery store, where prices jumped 30%, is now the better deal compared to fast food that tells you everything about how wild things have gotten.
Problem. Prices went up, but they did not go back down. Even when things start rising fast, they still stay high. So people feel stuck, Working, but not moving forward. Trying, but not getting ahead. Doing everything right, but life still feels harder for lower income workers. The people doing some of the hardest, most essential jobs in this country. Wages only went up 1% this past year, but the cost of living went up 3%. So even with a raise, you actually left further behind. You earn more dollars, but those dollars buy less than the year before. That's not a raise. That's a pay cut dressed up in nicer clothes. Right now, nearly 1 out of every 4 American households is living paycheck to paycheck. That means the moment anything goes sideways, a car breaks down, a kid gets sick, the water heater quits, there's nothing there to catch them, no cushion, no backup. This is why so many people feel frustrated. They're not asking for luxury. They just want life to feel normal again. They want groceries without stress. They want rent they can afford. They want simple peace of mind. Nothing fancy, just fair. There's a term economists use, the K-shaped economy. Picture letter K, the top arm goes up. It's wealthy folks' investments growing real estate where more the bottom arm goes down. It's everybody else falling a little further behind. Every single year, no matter how hard they work or how many hours they put in. And now, on top of all of that, companies are using artificial intelligence to cut jobs. Not just in tech offices and call centers and accounting and customer service and trucking and logistics. The jobs regular people depend on to pay those rent bills and grocery tabs. We just talk about the economy might grow on paper, but that growth is going straight to the top, not into the pockets of the people who built this country. Times change, prices change, life change. One thing stays the same, hard-working people deserve a fair chance. And right now, many feel like that change is slipping away. These prices didn't happen by accident. Some of it was a pandemic that broke the whole supply chain. Some of it was a war on the other side of the world, rippling all the way to your gas tank. Some of it was big companies taking advantage of a confusing moment to quietly pad the profit. Smaller boxes, higher prices, counting on you not to notice. Some of it is the cold reality of a world changing faster than most of us can keep up with. But here's what I know about everyday Americans. Y'all are the toughest, most resourceful, most never say die. People on the face of this earth, you stretch a dollar before you made it work when it didn't seem like it could. If this story feels familiar, you are not alone. Many people feel the same way.